Hey there, it's Bogdan, author of Skilled Success, author of 6-Day Published, founder of Mind Success Lab, creator of this masterclass, and I welcome you here to module number 9, in which we dive deep into chapter number 14, which, if you remember from the book or from the audio book, is a chapter in which we talk about what holds people back. And we talk about the 5 learning speed killers, the 5 critical things that actually stop you, that sabotage you, that stop you from learning fast, that stop you from acquiring the skills that you need to become great at what you do and achieve the results that you want to achieve. What are the things that stop you, that get in the way? Because if you know those obstacles, if you're able to anticipate them before they even show up, now that gives you tremendous power to overcome them with ease, with confidence, and with certainty. Able to overcome them and move ahead faster. So let's dive into these keys, and once again, like we've done in this masterclass, let's dive a little deeper from a different point of view, from a different perspective, some nuances, not just some repetition, which within itself is incredibly powerful, but also some new points of view, some new perspective, some new things to be said about these specific things, that obstacles that hold people back, so that you can once again approach them with more confidence, overcome them, get over them, and move ahead to achieve whatever you want in your life, as well as dramatically increase your learning speed. So let's dive into them. Well, number 1, the first thing, probably the biggest thing that kills people's learning speed, completely sabotages it, is a low teachability level. Now, the very fact that you're watching this, that you got this book in the first place, shows that this is not you, but I want you to stretch yourself more as you listen to this. Know that there's a better, faster, more effective way to do anything. Get to that higher level. What else can you do with this? How else can you play with this obstacle here? So, a low teachability level. Meaning, if someone doesn't have a willingness to learn, because learning is a choice, if someone doesn't have a willingness to take that choice to learn, they're not going to learn something. If you've ever wanted to teach someone who you wanted them to learn something more than they have, over the long term that doesn't last. Pushing people into learning things that they don't want to learn doesn't last over the long term. And if I or you or someone else has a low level of teachability, meaning they're closed off, meaning they're perhaps righteous about their own beliefs, I'm right, there's nothing else that can question that, they're not open to new possibilities, they're fixed in their ways, they don't want to learn new things, they're closed off from that process of discovery, of curiosity, which we talked about as a powerful force for growth, for success, for progress, for innovation. If they're closed off, if their teachability is low, that's going to sabotage their learning speed because they're not actively filtering for learning. Meaning people who are highly curious, who are highly eager, who have an apt, a willingness to learn, a high willingness to learn, are people who are out there seeking learning. Everything in their lives, they find ways to learn something. Something happens, someone in a meeting goes and shouts out some stupid idea in their mind, yet they somehow find a way to turn that into a learning. Something happens on the motorway as they're driving to work. They find a way to learn from that. Something happens with their friend at the hospital and they find a way to learn and then share. No matter what happens in their life, whether they're happy, whether they're sad, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever happens, they find a way to learn. Maybe you know people maybe you're a person like that. I know I sure wasn't, but I slowly developed that curiosity. That constant filter in my mind looking at what can I learn, how can I get better? Filtering through that optimization mindset and raising up my willingness to learn. If you have a high willingness to learn, it almost instantly increases your learning speed at anything and everything that you learn. So raise your willingness, and one of the biggest things this comes down to is humility. Getting away from righteousness. Pride is not a positive emotion, it's classified as a negative emotion. Pride as in I'm right, you're wrong. This is I'm good, you're bad. What I'm doing is good, what you're doing is bad. Without context, that binary, good or bad, right or wrong. It's either like this or like this. There's no gray area, there's no nuance. it can be very destructive when it comes to our learning because it lowers our willingness to learn. Hence, open yourself up. If you want to constantly learn, if you want to be curious, if you want to invent new things, if you want to have breakthroughs, great ideas, if you want to be successful, more and more successful every week, every month, every year than you were previously, if you want to be smarter, if you want to be wiser than you were before, you need to open up to be more willing to learn. Challenge yourself. Be willing to be humble, to know that you may not know anything, everything. One of my greatest quotes is this one. The only true wisdom is knowing that we know nothing. Great philosopher quote. The only true wisdom is knowing that we know nothing. Even when we know it all, we know nothing compared to what else is out there. We don't know what we don't know. And we gotta embrace that. Honor that. The fact that we don't know what we don't know and there's always more. Instead of settling for, okay, I know it, I've learned it, it's over. I finished the education system, I finished college, I finished university, I've learned everything I need to. It's not a belief that successful people have. They're constantly learning, they have a high willingness to learn. So the first thing that kills learning speed is a low teachability level. If you're able to raise that, challenge yourself, be humble, be willing, be curious, understand you'll never know it all, nobody will ever know it all. There's always more to learn. Now that mindset will support you to learn anything faster. In the book, there's a great exercise called the Teachability Index. You can actually fill out in the book. So make sure you do that if you haven't already and embrace this mindset. Embrace this mindset of willingness, of teachability. Be teachable, be coachable, be open. Even if you may think that someone has something wrong, that you're right, what you're doing is correct, what they're doing is wrong, seek to understand why they're doing it. Don't just classify it as, okay, that's a waste of my time. They're wrong, I'm right, let's move on. No, seek to understand, even if they are doing something which is ineffective, why are they doing it? Support them, seek to understand, be curious, be willing, have that app, that capacity. Learning is a choice. Make that choice every single day if you want to learn fast. Seek it. That's number one. Second thing that kills learning speed is, as Carol Dweck put in her book called Mindset, which I highly, highly recommend that you also pick up. If you love this, you'll love that book as well by Carol Dweck. Her book called Mindset. She talks about fixed mindset. And the second thing is here that kills learning speed is a fixed mindset. And she talks about there is a fixed mindset and then there's a growth mindset. And people usually fall into one of the two categories. Do you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? People who have a fixed mindset are people who believe, hey, I'm either have it or I don't. I'm either good at this or I'm not. I've either got the talent or I don't. It's very binary. It's either you have it or you don't. Meanwhile, a growth mindset is very much, and this is very similar to the stuff that we talked about back in chapter 1, back in module number 1, about controllability of your own future, about taking control of your own destiny, about knowing that you control your results, not others. A growth mindset is exactly that. It's about understanding, hey, even if I'm not good at it now, there's a possibility. It's not looking at things binary, black and white, but rather looking at it like a scale, like, hey, even if I'm not good, I can still get better. Abilities are not binary. Abilities are controllable and trainable. People with a fixed mindset, things can't be controlled, can't be trained, can't be developed, can't be cultivated. You either have it or you don't. People with a growth mindset believe you even if you don't have it now, it can be trained, it can be cultivated. You can develop that ability. So step into that growth mindset, because people with a growth mindset in her studies, which she did mostly on children in schools, going and looking at the difference between the two, the people who had a growth mindset over the long term reacted better to failure, overall got better grades, succeeded at higher levels because they're willing to challenge themselves. If you think that ability is cultivated, now you're putting yourself in positions where you might fail. You're willing to increase the difficulty because you know that will help you train your skill. People who have a fixed mindset, hey, I'm smart at this, I'm good at this, because that's just who I am. I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. People with that binary approach, black and white, those people don't put themselves in positions where they might fail. They tend to, there was one particular reference in the book where it talked about, they were asked, hey, do you want the harder exam or do you want the easier exam? People who had a growth mindset, they picked the harder one. It's a challenge, it will make them better. People with a fixed mindset, they pick the easier one. Why? Because they're good at this, which means they want to be right. They don't want to make mistakes. They don't want to let themselves down. They need to prove that they're smart rather than focusing on learning. They prioritize their pride over the learning. And perhaps you've done that in the past. I know I sure have. But again, this journey has helped me redefine this. I hope it does for you as well. Step into the growth mindset and avoid the fixed mindset, because this is the second thing that kills people's learning speed. Now, on to the third thing, is a slow feedback speed. This back to what we talked about back in module number 2. Feedback speed between action and result. What's that speed between taking an action to a result, picking up a new insight and a result? What's that feedback speed? Let's say you need to have accurate measures. If your feedback speed is slow, your learning will be slow. If you're not able to track whether the new thing you did is better than the last thing that you did, you're not going to grow, you're not going to get better, because you don't know. You have that uncertainty about whether this is growing, whether this is a better thing to do or not. You need to have that feedback speed in place. Follow it between action and result. And what's that speed between? You want to get it down to instant feedback. Imagine like archery is a great example of this. When you do archery and you go and you pull back the bow for archery and you shoot it at the target, you get instant feedback. You go and adjust, let's say your footing, you go and adjust your arm, you go and adjust a different part of your body, you adjust the bow, you adjust the direction, you adjust where you're looking at the target, and now you shoot again and you get new feedback as it hits a different place on the board. Instant feedback compared to other things where you, let's say, launch a campaign in marketing, let's say, and you might not see the results for 6-12 months. If you want to learn fast, you've got to narrow down that feedback speed. That's the third thing that kills learning speed. If you can remove these obstacles in any moment, if you can remove those obstacles, it will make you learn faster. So often we're running towards the finish line faster without forgetting that one of the other ways to get to the finish line faster is not just to run there faster, but also just remove the hurdles along the way. So that's the third thing that kills feedback speed. If you can avoid, it will help you learn anything faster. Number 4 that kills learning speed is distraction. Something that we talked about before when we talked about immersion in the last module, but distraction. Anytime you're distracted in the process, as we talked about, studies show it takes about 15 minutes from the point of getting distracted to get back to that peak level of focus, where you're just on it, where you're in the zone, where you're fully in that, where you're fully active and focused on the thing. It takes a long time to recoup focus, to get back into a high level of focus on the thing at hand. Hence, distraction kills our learning speed. And again, in the world around us, this has become more of a challenge, but it's time for you and I to both step up to, even in the distracted world we live in, to be able to make our own focus, to train this ability. Because this is the part that we didn't mention about before, I'm going to talk about here, which is that focus is a habit. Focus is also a trainable skill within itself. Anyone can train themselves to be more focused. You can train it. How do you do that? You put yourself in positions where it's uncomfortable to be focused. If the longest that you can focus on, let's say you're at a laptop working on some stuff, if the longest you can focus on something without checking out, without tuning out, without getting distracted is 10 minutes right now, the way you train that is you go for 15 minutes of just working on one thing, being focused. For 15 minutes, and you'll get uncomfortable having to do something for long periods of time, because it's not part of how you've operated in the past. But your job is to stay in that discomfort, to honor that struggle along the way, and that will lead you to get better. And slowly train that up. Put yourself in positions where you can focus on one thing, where you block out distractions. Say today, hey, today I'm doing a digital detox, where today I'm not gonna work in the world around me. I'm not gonna use my phone or the internet or check social media today. Put yourself in positions like that, and it will help you train your ability to focus. Just like motivation, just like willpower, just like self-discipline is trainable, so is your focus, your ability to sustain your focus on one thing. Begin to train that. Set yourself up in a way where you can train that. Go on a digital detox, or go and say, okay, today I'm working just on this one big project that I want to move forward on, and focus just on this one day on that. Train it. Even if it gets uncomfortable, know that's part of it. Any change is uncomfortable at first, but as you develop that skill, it'll become easier. It becomes easier along the way. Hence, distraction kills learning speed. The way you remove distraction, you train this ability to focus. As you train it, it becomes easier to avoid distractions. That's number 4. And the 5th thing that kills learning speed is a lack of strategy, or a lack of intentionality. One of the biggest patterns, universal patterns of successful people, of high achieving people, is their ability to be intentional about their actions. Intentional about their thoughts, their beliefs, and their actions, and the results that they're getting, the direction that they're heading in. What do I mean by intentional? Intentional as in just like a great chess master. Everything is done on purpose. And they don't do things randomly because it just comes up. It's done on purpose. Like a great chess master, every move is strategically designed to go and move towards the ultimate result somewhere down the line. Like a great artist, every brush stroke is done on purpose. There is no accident to it. Admire that beauty of intention. A great sculptor throughout history. Everything is chiseled with precision, with intention, with purpose. There is no accidental, oh, I felt like it here. Oh, that just happened. No, it's all done with intention. Those are just some great examples. And successful people tend to be far more intentional. If you ask them, okay, why are you doing this? They'll tend to give you clearer reasons, like, I'm doing this to build goodwill with my audience so that down the line I'll be able to do this. Or I'm doing this to be able to launch, to be able to increase these metrics in our business. I'm doing this because I know this is important. If you ask people who tend to be classified as less successful or as less high achieving, ask them why they do things in their life, you'll often get more responses like, because I felt like it, because it came up, because someone else told me to. Things like that. They don't know, they don't have that link as clear between what they're doing and where they want to get to. High achievers, the world's most successful people, the world's fastest learning, and the best people, the people most skilled, tend to be far more intentional and strategic. They plan ahead. They're willing. They know that their actions must have purpose. Each thing in their day is purposeful. They ask themselves, why am I doing this? So often, because beliefs are passed down from others that come before us, we tend to do things just out of routine. It's said that about 90% of the things of our thoughts that we think about in a day have come from thoughts that happened in the past. Which means for a lot of people, they're simply replaying their life over and over. Every day is just a replay of what has come before. They're not doing things with intention. They're not doing things with purpose. Why am I doing this? One of the biggest ways to go out of productivity and just get caught up in the busyness of life is simply to forget about why you're doing things. Forget about the intention. And when you do, you get caught up in things that you know you shouldn't be doing. If you want to snap out of that, if you want to be able to focus on the things that matter most in your life, the things that you'll be most glad, most fulfilled, most joyous that you completed, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What are the most important things right now? How can I be intentional about this? Does this task here that someone told me is critically urgent right now, should I be focusing on this? Does it have purpose? Does it lead to the higher, bigger picture that I have for my life? Be intentional. Every single day, wake up and not just react to the world, but intentionally create the world around you. What do you choose to manifest, to create, to live in your life, and now take action on that? Which means you have to get clear on your vision. Do you know what you're after, what you're going after? Do the people around you know what your dreams are? If they don't, then that might be a sign that you're not sharing your vision with those around you. It may be. Do you know clearly where you want to be down the line? How you want to live your life? What does your perfect day look like? And then are you intentional? Are the things that you're doing right now aligned with that? Or are you just doing whatever comes up into your life? Hey, this needs to get done. Okay, let me handle that. Intentionally create your life instead of getting caught up in the busyness of it. And in the context of learning, Be intentional about everything you do. If you're hiring a coach, be intentional about why you're doing it. If you want to read a book like this, if you're reading a book or an article, or you're on a website to learn something specific about your craft, be intentional about that. Don't get caught off that. Be intentional about every training session, every time you learn something, every book you read, every lecture. Be intentional about, okay, why am I going through this? What do I want to get out of this book? What do I want to get out of this masterclass? What are the things I'm learning? Because when you get clear on what you want, it allows your mind to focus on something. Have you ever had this where you say, hey, I want to buy this watch, or I want to go and buy this phone, and then suddenly you start realizing all of these phones around you? It's because your mind is now primed to focus on it because you told it that that's what you want. You're intentional about it, hence it tends to focus far more on it. Your mind at any single moment can focus on thousands of things in your environment, in your past, in the future. Yeah, it tends to tone a lot of things out and focus on what you tell it to focus on. And when you set your intentions, when you get clear on what you want and you act on it, this isn't about magical manifestation. It's about when you act on the things that you're intentional about, now you can start creating better results. You can start to learn anything faster. Be intentional about everything you're doing in learning, in skill development, and in life. And create what you want in your life instead of waiting for it to happen. Build it and they will come is not a principle for success. Create it. Get clear on what you want and begin to put in the steps to get there, knowing that these steps will lead to that down the line. So those are just 5 keys, 5 big critical things that tend to hold people back and stop people from learning faster and achieving more. And I hope you got a lot out of these. Look at these 5 roadblocks. Look at these 5 obstacles and find where have these held you back in the past and how can you stop them from holding you back? How can you raise your willingness to learn? How can you raise your level of focus, your ability to focus? How can you train that skill? How can you raise your level of intention and plan where you want to go? And make sure and ask yourself, what's a question you can ask yourself while you're doing things like, does this help me achieve what I want while you're doing tasks? And there'll be times where you're doing things and you ask yourself, does this help me achieve what I want? Does this help me live the life that I want? Does it help gain the lifestyle that I want to have? And you'll be like, no, this is a waste of my time. Let me move on to something meaningful in my life. Ask yourself those questions. I hope you got a lot out of this module. And again, make sure if you haven't read the book or the audiobook, go through that. It's very, very powerful. That and diving even deeper in the audiobook, in this masterclass here, as well as other resources around. I hope you got a lot out of this. I'll see you in the final module where we talk about the last section of the book, the last 3 chapters. But implement this. Be intentional, be willing, be humble, have a growth mindset. All of these, adopt these, it will have a huge impact on your life going forward.